Hello team, today's challenge is Winter Games Day 9 Skeleton, where they race head first down a sledding track. Pretty amazing sport, pretty interesting that they would do that. Today our challenge is to calculate the difficulty. In this case, we're given a list of directions, and based on that we need to calculate a difficulty rating for the track. So we have straight, left, and right. If it switches from left to right or right to left, we add a little bit more. So it's usually just 5 points, but for complex turns like that, we add 15 points. All this can be done with a reduce, again, for the most part, okay? So using a lot of reduce recently, but we can get that done. It looks like this. We go points, that's going to be equal to track, right? And here we need to split track. So I'm choosing to use a spread today. You could use a split. Both work just fine, okay? Then we go to reduce, and inside of reduce, we're going to get everything. So we get the accumulator, we get the current, we get the index, we get the array itself, okay? We're going to use all of them today. So here we are, okay? Our initial value is 0, okay? Because it's points, we're starting out at 0. We're going to tally this up based on those different letters, okay? First off, if it is straight, okay? So if the current value equals an S, so it's just a straight on run, okay? Then we return the accumulator. We aren't doing anything with that. Could we go accumulator plus 0? Yeah, but that's the same as accumulator. So let's just return accumulator directly and be done with it, okay? Now that we've covered off the S, okay, we've made sure that it's not an S, which means that it's either an L, left-hand turn, or an R, right-hand turn, okay? So we need the opposite of that, okay? I'm going to call it op today, but if you wanted to type out opposite completely, you can, okay? And that is going to be the current again, okay? If it is equal to an L, okay? And I realize that I'm not consistent with my quotes, fixing it, otherwise it'll bug me, okay? If it is an L, we need to return, not return, sorry, then the opposite is a right, okay? So right here we have the right, otherwise we can assume that it's a right, and the opposite should be an L, okay? This becomes useful right here, so we have that. This is where we get the math, right, to determine whether we're adding 5 or 15, okay? So this is what we're going to call add for the addition. Maybe add is a boring name, right? Maybe it should be add points, like this. Let's do that. Add points is going to be the array, okay? So this is where now we're using array. And inside of here we have index, okay? Index plus 1 specifically. So it's we're looking for the next value, okay? And if that is equal to the op, then we return 15, okay? So if it is a complex turn, if we're going the opposite direction, right? If the next turn is that opposite, then we add 15. Otherwise, we add 5. Now, stopping here for a second, okay? Because if you read the instructions, and I hope you did, okay? It says that every change or every direction change adds 15 points. So if you read this literally, it means that we have, let's say, going back here, doing some pseudocode right above this, okay? We have, say, an RL or an LR. Doesn't matter, okay? But this one should be 5. And the one after it, because it follows that letter, should be 15, right? Now, same thing for here, where the first one would be 5, the second one would be 15, because it's a complex turn. But, and hear me out on this, the order that we add these doesn't matter. So if we look ahead, if we look at this R and we say, oh, what, the next one is an L? Okay, I'm going to make this one 15, and this one is 5. Okay, whoops, jumping around, dragging stuff. It's the same math. So what I've chosen to do is I've chosen to look ahead instead of behind. If you want to look behind, you absolutely can, right? It should work pretty much the same, but for what I'm doing, it works either way, and I like this looking ahead thing better. Okay, so that's how this works. Again, the math is going to math because it's all addition. So it doesn't matter whether you add the big number first or the big number second, it's all going to work out in the end. Okay. Down here, okay, now we return. So we have that number, we return accumulator plus add points. Spelling it right, just like this. Excellent. Okay. At this point, we have the points, and we need to relate those to easy, medium, hard. Okay. What I'd like to do is way up here, we're going to create something called difficulty, just like this, and call it, sorry, we already called it difficulty, but it's going to be an array. Okay. And we're going to have easy, just like this, and there's a medium, and of course, hard. Okay. Brilliant. This, using an array, allows us to tack things onto here. So if you have something like epic, right? Epic being anything over 300, right? Because right now, if you look at this, it is 0 to 100, 101 to 200, and then what I'm assuming is 200 to 300, right? 201 to 300. So maybe 400s are epic or legendary or something like that. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. But for today, this works. Where it might not work is the fact that they actually said anything over 200. Again, I ran through this before, and even on the long run, this still works out. So they never really go above 300, which works for us. Okay. If they did, we might have to rethink our solution just a little bit. Okay. And I'll talk about that in a second. So now that we have that, we can do something. We can return that difficulty. Okay. Difficulty. And inside of here, we're going to do some math. Okay. Specifically, we're going to take those points. We're going to divide them by 100. Okay. Which is going to give us a decimal place. Okay. From there, we go math.ceil. Okay, which takes it up. We go up because, again, we want to get to this 100. We want to get to this 200. We want to get to the 300 for hard. Okay, so we need to go up, not down, and not rounding. Right, rounding would be unpredictable. So ceiling is where we want, and then we subtract 1. Right, at this point, it works, and it works great. Now, if you found, if you were in professional work and this didn't work for you because they actually literally meant anything over 200, including, say, 400, 500, 600, then maybe we would use a case statement instead, right? So we could, or a switch statement, we could switch based on 0, 1 and have default be hard, right? That would be an option here. But this works. This right here, I feel like this should probably come out, right? So we take this, bring it out. Maybe we go function just like this, spell it right, get points, because that seems pretty universal, right? Again, maybe we base it on the track and return this, okay? So right here, return all that, the track again, down into our function right here, get points, sending in the track. It should still all work. It absolutely does. But now we have 2 very useful functions, right? One based on points, one based on difficulty. I feel like this could probably be cleaned up a little bit. There are a few conditions in here. I might be missing something. If I am, hit me up in those comments. And as always, if you found a better solution or a solution that you like, right, hit me up with that too. Share that in the comments. Otherwise, today this has been Winter Games Day 9, the skeleton, right? And yeah, I will see you tomorrow.